What up, what up, what up? Not me saying the wrong intro. Allo, oui, bonsoir. I'm the Mademoiselle and ça c'est deuxième channel. Welcome to my second channel, also known as my Haitian channel. If you're looking at this face and you're like, wow, she really changed her content. No, I did not. I just have all my content spread across 3 different channels now. I have my main channel, which deals with Black social issues and commentary, trending topics here and there. Then we have this channel, which is primarily about Haitian voodoo, politics, and folklore. And then I have a personal channel that now houses the Mafia Speaks, story times, vlogs, and things like that. So if you're interested, make sure you guys peep the description box because you guys are always asking down below. As you guys can tell by the title of today's video, we got another voodoo story time for you. Now, I debated about doing this one. I wanted to do this as one of my first ever Haitian voodoo stories on this channel, but I was like, I'm real hesitant. But lately we've been talking about like the money spells and how they've been backfiring and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Before we get into it, give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscription. I'm trying to get to 100K. We're almost to 70K at the time that I'm filming this video. And let me just say it now before I forget. I'm going to be at Michael Braun's concert as one of 5 creators selected as one of the influencers to create content. And I'm super excited. By the time this video comes out, more than likely the concert would have already happened. So shout outs to you if I saw you. But most importantly, thank you guys so much for always supporting me, because I would never have this opportunity if it wasn't for all of you guys who have watched me over the years. But most importantly, actually really support and watch this channel. So this story takes place in, we're going to say, Port-au-Prince, okay? Haiti's capital. Of course, that's not the real location. Just like all my stories, I like to cover details, switch things around because specifically safety reasons, spiritual reasons, and it's like privacy is a real thing. You got to start keeping it. So one of my friends told me this story about a particular family member back in high school. And to this day, it's part of the reason I probably genuinely do not gamble and probably never will. And if I do, I'm never gambling like more than like $10. And I think that's too much. Like, I've been to Atlantic City a few times. I've been around casinos. Like, I went on a cruise. Like, I literally just walked smooth through. I sat at the seat, took a picture. I played a little penny slots, and that was it. And that is because, especially in Haitian culture, there's a lot of people that are addicted to gambling. I talked a lot about my past, how I grew up, and how my father has a gambling addiction, and how a lot of that is affecting me today, affected me growing up, affected my mom, and many other family members. But what you don't know is a lot of Haitians actually have the same exact issue. Whether we're talking about scratch-offs, playing the pick 4, or whatever the case may be, a lot of Haitian men in particular, okay? Women fall in this category too, but it's mainly men, especially young men, have a gambling issue. Now, if you guys follow my personal channel, you would know about Ricardo, also has a gambling issue. The key difference when it comes to Haitians gambling is that they partake in the Haitian lottery. Now, a lot of you guys watching this either are aware or you're not fully aware, but there's like literally illegal lottery stations all over the country, governed by Haitians, Hispanics. I think maybe there's certain African countries that partake in this too, which is very weird because it kind of is based on the regular lottery, but it's not. Yo el bolet. Okay, there's also jouet, which means games. Like, you could also gamble, play games, and win money. And a lot of people are really addicted to that. But bolet is kind of like a subsection of that. And the best way to translate it is just to say gambling, lottery, etc. Now, unfortunately, since a lot of people are genuinely addicted to gambling, especially in Haiti, or people who are of Haitian descent, this often puts them in a really, really big hole and a bind that they genuinely cannot find their way out of. Now, this is going to be a separate video for another time, but there is a very, very steep connection between the lottery and the spiritual, both demonic and angelic.
Also remember, right, in the spiritual realm, there is no money. That's not a thing for the spirits. Like, it's a human thing. So basically, you're asking for something that they don't really know about. Like, they know about it, but like, and I know a lot of you guys are probably like, well, what about offerings? How about when people give offerings? That's a whole nother thing, a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But yeah, money doesn't exist in the spiritual. That's why a lot of people are always saying like, yo, you should never do anything for money. You should be really, really whatever with money, because at the end of the day, it stays here. You can't go with it. That's very fucking true. Like, how much money you have right now doesn't really dictate how you die or what your life is going to be like in the spiritual realm at all.
To the point where I think I still have family members that get lottery numbers in their sleep. No joke. Not fucking over exaggerating. It's just crazy because like I didn't think it was a real thing until I started getting numbers in my sleep literally this year. So you guys got to understand all of this before we get into the story, right? The whole idea of getting lottery numbers and winning certain bets or whatever is actually very, very common in Haitian culture and very, very synonymous with the idea of the spiritual realm. There are people that are super gifted. There are people that have ancestry that supersedes anything that we could ever think of, that literally these spirits make them very, very rich. I have a family member that was like, when I'm telling you well off, I talk about it briefly sometimes. You'll hear about it on my Patreon. Like I have a certain sect of family that is very wealthy. I'm talking about living in a mansion in the hills somewhere in Jersey where it's like, yo, like literally they live down the street from Queen Latifah. Honest to God truth. Like, and I was like, how the fuck these niggas get all this money? Now, granted, they are in a very, very coveted and well-paying field. But when I really looked into this and I asked more family, they were like, yeah, nah, the only reason they were able to like get a footing because most of them own multiple property. They do all of this. Like aside from a lot of them having really good jobs, a lot of them just ended up coming here and ended up inheriting or winning lots of riches from a lot of these family members, ended up getting lottery numbers from a said family member who was able to then basically make them rich. Unfortunately, this family member has died now, so it is what it is. But yeah, still, they're benefiting from this, and it's actually like a very rare gift. There's a lot of mumbos and ogons that are able to actually give you numbers as well. Like, I was curious, so I went to go like follow some of them on Facebook to see like what they be talking about, and they really do be giving lottery numbers. It's absolutely insane. And I really thought like when I started having these dreams that I was fucking nuts. I was like, why do I keep seeing numbers in dreams? Like, why do I keep seeing house addresses? Like, whatever. And then one day I was like, all right, let me actually check the lotto today and see if those numbers play. Child, I was mad as fuck I didn't play that day. Okay, and mind you, I do not gamble, especially with everything that's happened with my family and all the gamblers that I know. I do not gamble, but I was like, what the fuck? I should have played this shit that day. Like, that shit pisses me off, and it's happened literally 3 times already, and I'm like, damn it. All right, so with this particular story, we are going to name the guy Ralph. We're just going to name him Ralph, right? So Ralph was from Port-au-Prince, and he had a really big gambling issue. Such a bad gambling issue that literally his family stood to lose everything. He lost his job because he kept gambling. His wife was literally losing friendships with her friends and her family because of his gambling, because he kept borrowing money from them, because he couldn't sustain the bills, because he was gambling. There was a lot of people threatening him because of his gambling issue, because again, kept borrowing a bunch of money that he couldn't pay back because of his gambling. He had about 3 kids at the time, and they were starting to get fed up with his gambling because it got to the point where people would give money to the kids and he would take the money, say he's going to give it back, but of course wouldn't because of his gambling. So it was like really, really bad, and he was at his end's wit, and he was more than likely going to lose everything. Now, Ralph had a friend named Oscar that he would go to all the time for advice. He was literally probably the only one that knew how deep in doo-doo he really was because of his gambling. So a friend of Ralph, okay, we're just going to name him Oscar, basically told him like, hey, if you really want to solve your issues and you got all of this going on, maybe you should go to an Ogon, a Buckor, a Mumbo, or whatever to get some help. Like, they could really, really make shit shake. So he's like, really? He said, yeah, like, you know, a lot of people go to them all the time for lottery numbers and all of that. Like, yo, it's something that, you know, you should look into if you're really in that much of a bind. So because he trusted Oscar so much, he had absolutely no problem actually taking his advice and going to a Mumbo, an Ogon, or Buckor for help with the lottery winnings, because at this point he was in a drought. Like, he would win here and there, but the thing is, he wouldn't win often, but when he did win, he would win a lot of money. So he was like, all right, you know what? Like, maybe I should just go and get a little boost of luck. But as I've said numerous times on this channel, especially when it pertains to money, do not ask what you're not supposed to have. It's different to manifest. It's different to be like, God, let me get these numbers, like, you know, whatever. And to go and call a fucking demon in your closet and be like, make me a trillionaire, motherfucker. Like, it's completely different. And it's also different when you're going to a practitioner of faith and asking them to grant you wishes. Everything in the spiritual comes at a price, especially when it comes to asking for winning or obtaining money in ways that are very unnatural to your current and future order of life. If for whatever reason you were sent to this earth to do something like be a teacher, if you were sent to this earth to be a lawyer, you're going to be a lawyer. If you were sent to this earth to be an artist, you're going to be an artist. Okay, whether or not you do other things outside of that lead to wealth or lead to you being poor, eventually you should find your path unless there's things interfering with that path. And what I've realized a lot of people don't understand, especially when it comes to younger people, is that like, yeah, like your path is just your path. Like, yeah, you can try to do other things that you can better yourself. But wherever it is that you land at the end of it all, when you're like 80, 90, 100, and you're looking back at life, 9 times out of 10, that was the path that you were supposed to have. And if you weren't supposed to have that path, it's because someone probably interfered with it. But that's another conversation for another time. At this point, Ralph is like, okay, give me the contact of anyone that you deal with or whatever. I would love to check it out. So Oscar gives him the information of someone that he knows. I believe it happened to be a mumbo, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, it was. It happened to be a mumbo. And of course, he calls the mumbo. He goes over to the mumbo's location or whatever. Now, this mumbo was kind of far, like way out the way. And that's honestly where I think they both fucked up. Like, if you're going to do any type of spiritual work in Haiti, okay, I think it's different in the States and when it comes to the Caribbean, when it comes to Africa, you shouldn't just be out here seeking guidance from people you really don't fucking know, especially spiritual guidance. But especially if you have to travel far, it's just like, don't do that because you don't know who that person is. You don't know what they deal with. You don't know who they've dealt with, what they've done. And also, you really want to know what type of person they are. Like, do they dibble in black magic? Do they just do white magic? Do they not believe in either and they just believe in gray magic? Like, you have to know these things. You can't just like, oh, I found a mumbo up in fucking Leogan, Temale. Like, that's not, you can't do that. Like, I'm just going to go see this person, someone recommended them. Like, no, you have to do thorough research. And sometimes the research actually does take a while. So he goes over there, he takes Oscar with him. And basically he goes and he explains everything. He's like, hey, I've been coming on a hard time trying to win. And now I'm about to lose everything. Everyone hates us. I ain't got no money. My kids hate me. Like, it's really, really bad. So if you could do anything to help me, then, that would be great. Now the mumbo's like, oh, okay. How much are you willing to pay for it? Now, I don't know why the fuck Ralph is just dumb. Like, now that I think about it, dumb. Because Ralph is just like, I ain't got no bread. Basically, I don't got no money. I ain't got nothing to give you. And she's like, not a problem. You can just do some work for me.
Y'all, I feel like I didn't explain this part correctly. So he didn't have no money. He went there knowing he didn't have any money because Oscar was like, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't have any money. Basically, she's known for doing things for people, even though if you don't have money, you could pay her later, or sometimes she gives you jobs to do. Some people are really fucking dumb. Just dumb.
Now, at this point, they go all around Haiti doing work, okay? They're helping the mumbo. They're doing different rituals. They're sourcing different people to promote the mumbo. It's the weirdest shit. I have 2 stories like this, okay, where people followed mumbos. One of them actually happened to be one of my uncles that passed away recently. And part of the reason he died was because of dumb shit like this. You don't go to a damn mumbo that you don't even know and sit there following them around like a goddamn lapdog, like they can't kill you in 2 fucking seconds. But nonetheless, I digress. Nobody listens to me. So whatever. Oscar and Ralph decide yeah, we're going to do all of this and we're going da-da-da-da-da, bumbo shit, etc. And, shit is good. They're eating good. They're having a great time. And most importantly, Ralph is going to get out of his situation if he keep doing these things and keep doing it right. And the mumbo is satisfied. It wasn't until the mumbo wanted more. Okay, the mumbo wanted more. The mumbo at this point is like, okay, well, now it's time for you to do something for me. Y'all already know what it is, okay? She wanted to have a ménage à trois, okay? If you didn't know, now you know. Come on, put 2 and 2 together. Now you guys are probably like, how did this work? Wasn't Ralph married? Was Oscar married? Still very much married. Me ou connais yo bay mari yo yon parole pou yon Québec. Okay, they gave their wives something to hold. Oh, I'm out with family. Oh, I ain't doing nothing I ain't supposed to be doing, but obviously you're doing worse than what you're not supposed to be doing. Which, it's funny because in Haiti, it's not uncommon. And even in America, right? Doctors, lawyers, nurses, architects, engineers, influencers, taxi drivers, truck drivers, so many people, even in the US and other countries, go out of town for work all the time. And it wasn't that long of a time. Let's say it was maybe 2 weeks or whatever. So basically they lied to their wives and said yeah, we working, we're with family, So they didn't think anything of it, especially at this point because Ralph's wife was very fed up with him and she was literally threatening to leave him because his gambling debt became so high. It became so bad and so high to the point where literally people were knocking on their door. People were literally threatening to kill them if he didn't pay this money back. He owed thousands and thousands of dollars to so many people and people were not having it. Okay, they were done cutting him slack and now they started to harass the wife about it. At this time, the wife happened to be pregnant, so you already know. Any added stress is just fucking ridiculous. This is embarrassing for everybody, especially the wife, the kids, and everyone involved. So him saying, oh, I'm away at work, she's like, yeah, good. You need to get this damn bread because I'm tired of niggas bothering us or whatever. So she didn't think anything of it. When it came to Oscar just said some bullshit oh, I'm seeing family. So again, didn't think anything of it. So, like I said, the mumbo asked for relations, and they were just like, relations? Absolutely not. But to make matters worse, they laughed in this lady's face. They start laughing. They start making jokes about how she smells and how she's not cute and how they would never touch her and how they're married. Not joking. Literally, probably one of the most stupid things I've ever heard anyone do. You do not insult a mumbo. You do not insult an ogo. You do not insult a boko. You don't insult people in general. Okay? But people that have spiritual connections, like, are you fucking crazy? So the thing is, they thought that they were just cracking jokes. That's how Haitian people are. They like to crack jokes. They like to, whatever, play around. So they're like, come on. Ou konen, ou pa men bel wap monde pou tout sa. Ou konen, ou pa bel pase madame mwen, no? Like, oh, gade li tout senti deja. Like, just laughing. And they think that she's laughing along because she's actually visibly laughing. Like, she's also like, yeah, you already know. I was just joking. She wasn't joking. And she actually took that shit really, really seriously, as she should, because that's, like, really fucked up. Even if that's how you feel, like, you don't do that, even though it's a joke. Now, I feel like when it comes to Ralph and Oscar, they felt like that. They were close enough to not face any type of repercussions. And more than likely, they wouldn't face any repercussions because they were shooting her in the gym for the past week or two. So it's like, all right, like, it's not that serious that we said you ugly, you don't look better than our wives, whatever, child. So 2 or 3 days later, the mom was like, oh, you could go home. I don't really need you anymore. And they're like, oh, you sure? Like, we could still do more work for you. Like, like, we know that, you do a lot and you might need someone here. And she's like, no, you can go. And also tell your wife, Ralph, that I hope she has a happy and safe delivery. Ralph got diddly-dee. What are you talking about? Like, Ralph just looks at her like, what do you mean? I didn't tell you my wife was pregnant. She was like, again, tell your wife I said have a safe and happy delivery. Now, at this point, he's like, what the fuck? Like, he's looking at Oscar like, what the fuck she mean? Like, what's really going on here? Like, why would she say that? Oscar's like, I'll keep it. Like, oh, don't whatever. Like, don't think anything of it. Maybe she's just, whatever. Maybe she just thinks that your wife is pregnant. I don't know. And the thing is with Oscar's the type of person you can't take him seriously. You can't take anything like in regards to advice or taking advice from people from him, if that makes sense. Like the fact that he recommended the mumbo was probably a bad idea because Oscar's the type of person where it's like his head is all over the place. And it's just like, why would you take advice from this man? So whatever. So at this point, they start running back home. And of course, the mumbo did say she was going to help. And she indeed did. Eventually, maybe a week or two later, Ralph did end up getting a really, really good construction type job. I believe the job was if I remember correctly, I got to mix up the details real quick. So let me think. All right, let's just say there was a particular company or a particular organization that came to Haiti and they were hiring people in Haiti. So he was able to get a really great job through them and things started looking up. Additionally, every time he played the lottery now, he was making money. Like he was winning every single time. And you would think he took the money, paid bills, paid people back, maybe did some investments.
This part of the video got deleted, so let's just say, unfortunately, Ralph's wife did miscarry that child. Very sad. And let's just say it was not a happy and healthy delivery. She lost that child brutally and still had to push it out. She had to stillbirth.
Nope, he didn't pay anybody back. Instead, took his wife, he took his kids, and he ends up moving to the United States, forgetting about the debt, forgetting about the mumbo, forgetting about the job, forgetting about the money that he was coming into with the lottery. Now, you are probably thinking okay, so he's living his life, okay? He's living his best life. And sure enough, he's still having these lottery winnings. Now he's over here and he is still getting a lot of money from these things. Again, no thought of, let me pay these bills. At this point, you guys can probably guess that this man just has a really bad spending problem. And that's what a lot of people have, a horrible spending problem. They make enough money to sustain. They get enough money in order to do what they need to do, but they just don't do it. They'd rather go to Amazon. They'd rather eat their food away. They'd rather travel instead of taking care of whatever it is at hand. So when I'm telling you guys that Ralph was winning this money, this was like clockwork. I'm telling y'all, let's just give you guys a ballpark number. Over a span of 15 to 20 years, he had acquired over $500,000 US. Okay? It was that much money. And a lot of it, and the only reason I know that is because the person that was telling me the story is actually someone I know. And all I gotta say is there's a lot of shit, okay, that went down that I really can't tell y'all about. Okay, I do have permission to tell this story down. Okay, but I saw the bank account, okay, and I was just like, this don't make no fucking sense. The money is just sitting there. I don't get it. And what was crazier about it is the money was literally filling up the account as much as it was leaving the account. $500 in, $800 out. $1,000 in, $3,000 out. $20,000 in, $88,000 out. Like, it was the weirdest. Like, I never seen anyone spend that bad. Like, at that point, when the story was being told to me, I was like, okay, the person just has a spending problem. Like, I mean, the whole luck with the lottery thing, okay, that could be attributed to, the mumble, but it's just like, they have a really bad spending problem. Like, and how the fuck is this account even like that is crazy. Like, how's this shit not getting flagged for fraud? Like, literally, if I even spend too much in a day, Capital One is hitting me up like, did you make this purchase? It looks suspicious. Like, so I'm just like, how the fuck? But hey, at one point, it is weird because some banks are weird. Like, even though Capital One will do that, a lot of times Capital One won't tell me shit. If I try to buy something in fucking like Hawaii, if I try to buy something in Costa Rica, they won't say shit. Fuck around and I try to get a freaking airplane ticket. They're like, oh no, we can't. We're trying to protect you. Fuck you. I actually got surrendered like that before, but that's not the point. I was like, yeah, this is kind of bizarre. Never seen anything like it. And literally the time my friend was telling me the story was literally where the height of the story took place and why I decided to come on here and tell the story to warn you guys. Because literally my friend had speculated like, yo, I really think that he dibbled and dabbled in some shit and that's why he's so sick. So just like in traditional Black magic fashion, Ralph falls sick. At this point, Ralph is grown. Okay, like grown. Like at this point, Ralph is a woman. Like let's say he's in his 60s. Okay. And he's in perfect health. He is walking around fine. He's working fine. Obviously, he's driving. He's cooking. He's cleaning. He's a regular functioning adult until one day he falls and he's not. He literally has no history of diabetes, high blood pressure, or anything like that. But one day he just falls out of the blue and never woke up. He didn't have a stroke or anything like that. He just fell, ended up in hospital, ended up in a coma. No one can figure out what was going on at all. Now, what's very interesting to note about this is while he all this money and went to America, whatever, trying to forget his Haiti debts, a lot of people thought that he actually paid all these debts off because, I mean, it's kind of fucked up to just up and leave and not pay people that you owe. But what's really fucked up is to leave, not pay people that you owe, and then not tell the people in your family that you didn't do that. Like, don't you think it's going to affect them? Like, don't you think eventually someone's going to say something? Now, the thing is with this is what happens with a lot of Haitian people, right? They leave Haiti, they never go back. They don't talk to nobody over there. They don't give a fuck. They don't want to know nothing about it. And that's part of the reason Haiti is the way it is, because the people that could help the country, whether it is monetarily or through education, through extra help, volunteering, etc., just don't come back. They don't want to because they associate Haiti with trauma, which I think is extremely fair. But you at least should do something. Because if not, like, yeah, again, I've talked about this all the time at length on my other channels and other videos on this channel, okay? So we're not going to get too much into that. But a lot of people will literally move to America. And this is not just Haiti, right? They'll move to America and just cut off contact with everyone that they ever knew, any other family members, and just start a brand new life. So it wasn't until someone passed away in the wife's family and they happened to live in Haiti. So she basically called to offer her condolences. Now, this has happened time and time again before in the past, but this time she happened to be very, very close to the family member. So she decided to keep in contact with a lot of the people. Now, it's very uncommon for her to kind of do something like this because Ralph would always be like, oh, don't talk to those people in Haiti. Oh, da-da-da, all they want is money. They don't give a fuck. And it's funny because a lot of people adopt this type of mindset. Like I had a friend, she was Colombian. Her family was the same exact way, but they happened to own a business. So they were on some, oh, don't talk to those people. All they care about is money. Fuck them. Don't answer if they call. Like, I don't get that. Like that whole elitist attitude of, oh, I left my country, so now I'm better than everybody is fucking crazy. Okay, like you're not better than anyone, especially not your friends and your family that you left behind that you owe money to. Okay? So she's sitting there, she's calling family, she's talking with them or whatever. And literally one of her cousins was like, oh, come on, house here. What the house? And she's like, oh, I didn't name the wife. It doesn't matter. I just gonna say the wives. And the cousin's like, oh, okay, parce que nge bon ti ton bato nel depuis lelte, prete kob la non mem li wajan bon mwen ba. I haven't heard from him in a while, especially since I let him borrow money and he never gave it back. At this point, she's furious. She's like, wait, when? She starts naming all these dates. Oh, depuis 96. She's like 1986, 2002, 2009. She's naming all these dates, all these times where she gave money to Ralph and Ralph never paid it back. And a lot of these dates are actually sometime after they moved to the United States. Borrowing or taking money from someone in Haiti when you live in the States is absolutely ridiculous unless there's some sort of millionaire over there, because these people genuinely rarely have any job opportunities and 9 times out of 10 are struggling. Okay, so what the fuck are you doing? So at this point, she is livid. She's like, what? Why would he borrow money from you? He has money. Shot Dino Tavai every day he's at work. And then shot Julie Nobolet. He's getting the winnings. She's like, why would he be asking you for money if he basically has money already? Like, so at this point, the wife don't believe the cousin. She's starting to get upset. She's like, oh, you're lying. Y'all never liked him. Y'all always talking shit. Like, da-da-da-da. Keep my husband name out your mouth. All types of shit. Okay, the cousin's like, all right, relax. I'm just telling you because I thought you knew what was going on. But yeah, tell Ralph, give me a call. At this point, you can't give Ralph a call. My nigga is in a fucking coma. Now, she didn't tell anyone this because, again, a lot of Haitians are really secretive when it comes to health like that. Or, like, they'll tell you something serious that happened way after. Like, it's not weird because realistically, when someone's in a vulnerable state, like in the hospital, dying, really, really sick, that is the best time to strike them and kill them. So a lot of times, you're not going to see Haitians be like, oh, I died yesterday. No. We're going to tell you 6 months later, like, yeah, homeboy was in the hospital. It was really fucking bad. We thought he was going to die, but he's fine now. Like, we're not going to sit there and tell you if somebody's actively in the hospital like that. Until they start getting better, then you'll start seeing news and stuff go out there. Unless it's like a very public situation that happened, obviously, right? But most of the time, if nobody knows, nobody knows. If they're the ones that have to inform you, they're not going to inform you unless they have to and until something really, really dire happens. A lot of people don't really like that, especially a lot of Haitians that are not like that choose to tell people like, oh, blah, blah, blah is sick. Please pray for us. Yeah, it's always been a very interesting point of conflict in a lot of Haitian communities because some people prefer to keep that private because of spiritual reasons and just because privacy. And some people prefer to like, yeah, let everybody know so we could pray, so we could rally, so we could make food, so we could go, we could visit. So very, very different. I really want to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Would you rather someone know that you're sick so they can help and support? Or would you rather people not fucking know so they don't try to kill you in your sleep or in your coma? I think I'd rather people not be in my business, but that's just me. So at this point, the wife goes and tells the kids this, right? And all the kids are sitting there like, what the fuck? Like this nigga's always doing some dumb shit. Now, his relationship with his kids was really trash, with the exception of the youngest one. The youngest one, he had a really good relationship with, she was a daddy's girl. Like they were really, really, really close. However, it's one of those things where it's like she didn't really know too much of what was going on. She doesn't know any of this because she was too young to really understand. So it's like, of course, you're going to be close to him. You don't have like a choice. Like, you're the youngest, you don't know nothing. Your dad is your dad, right? But for the older kids, child, they were so over it. They were like, yo, wait till this motherfucker wake up. Like, no. Now, it's funny thinking about this because, goddamn, the nigga's in a coma. Do you guys not have any sympathy? And when you know the people that you fuck with, okay, when you know your friends and you know your family, nah, you're not going to have sympathy for the fuck shit that they do. Yeah, the person's in a coma, stable in a coma, but it's like, bro, when you think about the fact that 9 times out of 10, the reason they're in the situation is because they did fuck shit, you start to see things a little differently. So he had 4 kids, okay? Minus the youngest one, the 3 kids were actually very heavily spiritual. And they were very like, not in like Haitian voodoo type spiritual, but like other things, like more of like the American spiritual community. Like I think tarot cards and all that other hoopla shit. Okay, so they were very like intertwined in that stuff. So they're already starting to make theories. They're already like, nah, like, I'm sure he's in a coma because of this. And he fucked people over there. He didn't go to Haiti and, rectify his problems over here. So, of course, everybody has their theories. The wife is just genuinely upset. And let's just say, fast forward, everything does get a little bit better for Ralph, okay? He starts waking up. Obviously, he can't walk yet, so, he can't really eat or anything, so he's still on a feeding tube. But, like, they're slowly but surely trying to get him back to a regular state. And they waited a while before they asked him about anything that was really going on because by that point, they had found out everything. They had found out how he was getting all this money, how he was winning all this money, how he was working and cashing in, cashing out, and didn't pay nobody back the money that they owed. And yes, I forgot to add, yeah, he also owed money in the United States to people as well. But, most people in America, like, they're not just going to throw some powder on you and kill you in America like that. Well, no, it happens. But you understand, it's not as common as in Haiti. So he had no problem just racking up all this debt from people, from credit card companies, personal loans, all types of shit. His wife knew nothing. His wife never touched the finances, never handled anything. And in Haitian households, very, very common. A lot of the wives sit there and they basically rely on their husbands to do everything for them. I think it's extremely problematic. I don't think that's a good way and a conducive way to live your life. But that's another story for another time. She didn't know anything. It was literally upon getting into the bank accounts because he was in his coma and they still needed to pay mortgage and stuff like that, that they saw the money coming in and coming out. It wasn't until people started coming up to them, asking them where Ralph is, that they were like, oh, he owed me money. He owed me this. He owed me that. Like, so much shit happened. So at this point, Okay, maybe 2 or 3 months later, all right, he ends up being better. Okay, he's at a rehab facility. They start seeing him more regularly because, you know, they're trying to get to the bottom of this, which I ain't gonna lie, I don't like the way they did that. Like, it's like, damn, like, y'all can let the nigga recover fully first. His oldest son, which happens to be their first child, went up to him while he was in the rehab facility. He was like, yo, what is actually wrong with you? And he said, what? Your pardon? Like, I'm still your father. I don't know who you think you're talking to. And he's like, Papa la avo conside, don't talk to you like that. Do you know how much money you owe people in Haiti and in the United States? Do you know how much debt you're in? Do you know we might lose the house? Just going off. They get in a verbal altercation. They're going back and forth to the point where homeboy's blood pressure goes up so badly that he ends up having a stroke. Now, the crazy part about this whole thing is just like, mind you, when I'm being told this story, a lot of this shit is happening in real time. So I'm getting bits and pieces of the story like every day, every week. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with everybody? Like, can't y'all just not do this? Like, can y'all just like let the man rest? Could we just have like a day of peace? And they're just like, nah, fuck him. He's a piece of shit. He's not a good person. He deserves to suffer. Da 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 da. We need answers because then it's going to start affecting us. And I understood that part. Okay. The whole is going to start affecting you is very, very serious. Like I say it all the time. A lot of us are suffering for shit that our ancestors did, shit our parents did, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of people out there that are suffering simply because people made bad deals with spirits. Okay. People did things that they shouldn't have been doing and now it's affecting them. So whatever. Fast forward, everything goes well. He ends up recovering from the coma. And they kind of try to go more easy on him. So obviously things like this don't happen again. And they start questioning him again. So now we have, let's say like the third kid comes in. She's a girl. They only have one boy, by the way. It's 3 girls and 1 boy. And the girl comes in and she's like, yo, papi, like, I know you're not trying to like talk about this shit, but like, you need to let us know, like, what are you really involved in? Like, why would you take all this money and be getting all this money and you're not even paying your debt back and da da da. The father really doesn't have much to say. He's just talking in circles. He's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't like, he's trying to play stupid. He's trying to act like, you know, he genuinely doesn't understand. But lui bien comprendre, okay? He tries to act like, oh, my lad, like, yo, I'm sick. I can't answer these questions right now. What do you think happens? Homeboy ends up having another stroke. So at this point, they're like, what the fuck? Now, mind you, this daughter came really respectful. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't cursing, whatever. But obviously, it caused him a lot of stress. Could have been spiritual, whatever the case may be. So this happened over and over and over again. Not all the strokes. It was 2 strokes. And then after that, it was like different medical conditions. Like he just would like say one day one kid came to ask or the wife came to ask about something. All of a sudden, like he would get really, really sick and it would be like really, really bad. Now, a lot of people were basically telling them like, yo, stop bothering this nigga before he fucking dies because y'all, even I said that. I was like, honestly, just stop bothering him until he's able to talk about it. Let him talk about it then. And then if anything, like wait till he fully recovers because this is kind of dumb. But at the same time, to play devil's advocate, yeah, this shit can really start affecting them. So yeah, let's start talking about what you did. So unfortunately, at this point, he falls on a rapid decline. Okay, like we're talking about the guy went from looking maybe 62 to like 88. Like skin is just drying out. Okay, you know that picture of SpongeBob where is it SpongeBob or one of the fish in SpongeBob that end up looking like frail and like they're in a wheelchair? I need to make sure. I'll put a picture if I remember. Like just frail, just like literally you push him, he might fall. Like you poke him, he might fall. Like looked so bad. And he's just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to have to tell you guys or this shit is going to start getting worse. So he starts by telling the youngest one, because obviously they're the one with the relationship. He's the most comfortable with her. He starts telling her about everything. And she goes and she relays it to the rest of the kids. And of course the kids are furious, but they're like, you know what? We understand because, you know, like shit was hard or whatever, but you need to start paying this money back. This nigga said, don't you dare touch my fucking money. Don't you dare go and do anything. Like, I'm going to handle it when I'm done. I'm going to handle it when I get out the hospital. Family members start dropping like flies. I'm talking about all of a sudden, the wife's family, all of them in Haiti, got wiped out by a fire. All of a sudden, family in America having crazy ass car accidents, getting arrested, getting beat up, like on some hate crime shit, like just weird ass occurrences. In the past 6 months, something happened to at least 20 family members, and it was back to back to the point where legit, like they were at funerals like every week, if not every other week. It was really, really bad. So at this point, the second kid was like, all right, we need to handle this. Like, I feel like she's more like me. Like, she's like, nah, like, I'm not about to interfere. You know, if you guys can handle it, you can handle it. But no, now I need to step in. Because what we're not about to do is like sit here and fucking die because people want to be stupid. So she goes and she's like, Dad, we're going to take your money and we're going to start paying niggas back because this is some fuck shit. They go, they start paying people back. You would think, okay, things started getting better. That did nothing because that wasn't the source of the hex or the curse or whatever the fuck was going on. The source was the mumbo. Remember the mumbo they was sitting there doing all of this shit with? And then when she asked for a ménage à trois, they said no. And they was laughing in her face and all of that shit. Oh, she made sure she cursed that man for the rest of his life. Now, you guys are probably thinking, what happened to Oscar? Oscar muy longtemps, oui? Okay, Oscar died a long time ago in a very, very, very tragic, like, boating incident or some shit. Like, it was something, let me not tell too many details, but let's just say he died very tragically, okay, in a very bad accident. That like a freak accident, like on some like what? Like you sit here, you're like, how common is this to happen? Let's just say the accident involved heavy machinery. That's all I'm gonna say. So could be a car accident, could be a boat accident, could be something fell on his head. The point is, he died already. Okay, so now the youngest daughter is like, yo, you told me all of this stuff. I thought it was the truth. That's why I told them. They're trying to handle it like, what else didn't you tell us? Because like all of this going on is a problem, child. He still refuses to tell them anything at this point. And he's like, all right, you know what? At this point, he's on his deathbed. Okay, at this point, like he's literally gonna die. He's in hospice. There literally is nothing they can do. The doctors don't know what the fuck is going on. He is just on a rapid decline. Eventually, when all the kids and the wife is visiting, he goes and he tells them, like, listen, I worked with a mumbo in order to win the lottery over and over and over again. And I think that the reason everybody's dying is because that was probably the price I had to pay. Child, the wife was furious. But Ralph tries to cover it up by saying, but you know, she tried to sleep with me and Oscar at the time, but we said no. We said we both had wives and she was ugly. And you know, we didn't want to touch her. The wife is even more furious. Like, are you fucking stupid? It's bad enough you were running around with a mumbo and you asked her for money shit. But now you telling me you disrespected her? Like, you literally sat there, you blatantly said that she was ugly. Like, do you even care about us? Like, did you, like, yo, just going off. So, you guys are probably wondering how this resolved itself. Luckily for the kids, they were all fine. The wife was fine. But unfortunately, Ralph did end up dying. So, very sad occurrence, okay? Very, yeah. But, I mean, everyone kind of saw it coming, especially because he kept fucking lying and lying and lying. I will say it's very shocking that shit didn't touch the kids and it just touched everybody else around. And it's funny because a lot of people also think like, nah, it was the village people. They was mad because he owed them money. To be honest, yeah, probably, because Haitians really will kill you over bread. I think it was the mumbo, okay? And that's what the family thinks too. I think it was the mumbo because it's like, even when they started paying money back, like niggas was still like, you know, dying left and right. But I feel like that doesn't really matter too, because a lot of times you could pay a Haitian person back, especially in Haiti, and they don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, well, you took too long to pay it back. I still don't fuck with you. And I'm still going to send these burning chickens after your ass. Like, you know, so very crazy stuff. And it's funny because like, you'll have those people like, oh, I don't believe these stories. These stories are crazy. These people are dumb. Da, da, da. You haven't seen any of my other voodoo stories now, have you? Okay, ain't nobody making this shit up. So me. But again, if you don't like, don't watch. All right. With that being said, this was probably one of my longer ones. All right. And as you guys are currently watching this, I am in Costa Rica. So yeah, check into my Instagram and my community tab on my main channel. And with that being said, I'm going to see you guys in my next video.